Hi, I'm DK and welcome to my channel. For this video, I will be talking about the manga that I collected and read during my high school years. And as you can see, I have read a lot. I have read a lot of manga during my high school years. And these are a lot of shoujo manga. This was the era where I loved angst, romance, just anything that had romance in it, and also the possessive sort of guy. And I will preface by saying that while some of these I did collect during high school, others I did also collect recently. So I started buying more of these manga to make the series more complete, because I really do still enjoy some of them and I want to buy the rest. And I will explain that for the series that I continue to collect now. And so let's get started and continue with the nostalgia. First series we're going to be starting off with is Amazing Agent Luna. This is actually a series that I forgot to mention, and my first part is that I actually got this series during my late middle school years. So I think what attracted me to this series was the covers. So it kind of reminded me of that magical girl aspect, with like the long flowing hair, the dress, and then this other side of her, that secret side of her that people don't know about. And I think that's why I bought this series. Amazing Agent Luna is about a secret agent by the name of Luna, who's right here on the front cover. She was actually made from a lab. So she was genetically enhanced to become like the perfect agent, but she still has the characteristics of like a human, right? So she's at a point where she's stuck between being a teenage girl and also having to take on her other side, which is being a special agent, like a spy, and going on missions. So what happens is that she works with Control, who's basically her guardian. So Control has trained her since she was born to become the secret agent that she is. And this is Control right here. And so what happens is that their main villain that they're going against in volumes 1 through 5, as you see here, it's like its own arc. The main villain that they're going against is Count von Brücken. So they're trying to figure out what he's trying to do behind the scenes, because he has a secret project that the government agency that Luna works for finds could be dangerous to the government, to their government. And so what happens is that Luna finds out that the Count has a plan for a high school called Noble High, and Noble High consists of students with parents from like high profile government occupations. So Luna then goes undercover as a student there, and Control and this psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Collins Andrews, who's right here, pose as her mom and dad. So they have to act like a regular family, and she goes undercover at the school. And so basically this arc, volumes 1 through 5, covers her getting used to high school life, making friends, and also maintaining her identity as a secret agent. And I actually found this really enjoyable reading it again. It definitely portrays the teenage life pretty well. Like she's very naive because she hasn't had exposure to a social life, and because she was trained by adults only, she doesn't know how to interact with teenagers. So she's trying to fit in and meeting other students who either sort of basically bully her and also try to be friends with her. So I definitely did, reading it again, enjoy that aspect of it. And while her naivety bothered me a little bit, it was, I would say, natural, because she's just never been in this situation before, so it's natural for her to act like a teenager. And so one of my favorite characters actually is the gym teacher that they have. And the gym teacher is very strict, and he always yells at the students that they're not listening and doing things that they should be doing. But he actually becomes a really good support in a way for Luna. And this is the gym teacher. And I do want to say, while this is like from right to left, the setting is not in Japan. The setting is actually in Europe. And so I would definitely recommend this. It's a really good story for those that may like sort of the magical side, but the teenage life mixed in with a little bit of action, where the girl is like strong in her own, is strong physically, and has like a little bit of action on the side, and also a mix of school life. And what I recommend to myself now, I'm actually kind of interested in collecting there's 11 volumes, and collecting the rest of it, because I felt like this was just introducing the characters. They didn't go in depth yet with the character development, and I definitely wanted to know more about how Luna will grow up, how Control and Dr. Collins Andrews would develop their relationship, and who she ends up with in the end, because there is some romance in here too with her and Jonah, who is actually the Count's son. So I definitely would like to see what happens next. And we'll see if I continue to collect this, because it is an older manga. Even for me right now, I found this highly amusing to read again. And while the mentality is a little bit too childish for me, it's like putting myself into the situation, I understand it. So yeah, so I definitely would give it a try again if I'm able to get the rest of the volumes. But that is Amazing Agent Luna. So the next series I'm going to be talking about is one of my all-time favorite shoujo manga, Fruits Basket. And as you can see, I have the collector's edition, so I have all of it, the full set, except the last one, part 11, because I actually have the last 3 as the original volume print one. So it's funny because I first found out this series through the library when I was in high school, and I got this series and it really intrigued me. So Fruits Basket is about our main protagonist, Toru Honda, who is an orphan. Her mother recently passed her away, and her father passed away when she was younger. She finds herself in a situation where she's living in a tent out in the countryside. But it turns out that she was actually trespassing in the Shoma family, who you'll see all lined up here, in the Shoma family's land. And the people who live close by is Shigure, who's right here, Yuki, and Kyo. And Yuki is actually one of her classmates. So they take her in and just try to figure out what the situation is on why she's living out in the countryside by herself when she's only a teenager and should not be by herself. In that time that they're trying to figure out how to help her, she discovers their secret, which is that they are cursed, where they will turn into the animals in the Chinese zodiac. So what happens is that if someone from their opposite gender hugs them, they turn into that animal. And so once she discovers this secret, she ends up living with them and then diving deeper into the Shoma family, learning about every single member who has the curse. And basically she is determined to help them and try to free them from this curse. And that's sort of the gist of the story. I feel like when you read it, there's so many deeper meanings in the storyline that even now as an adult, like when I read it, it hits me differently every time. I discover something else that is either darker or something that makes me go, oh my gosh, I never realized that before. And I definitely am still brought to tears as I read the storyline because it can be so sad and lonely, and just that the family just wants someone to connect to. And the curse really prevents them from doing that. And not because, like, if they're hugging the opposite gender, that they turn into an animal. It's because they're bound by this curse, bound by the family that stops them from doing what they want to do. And so that's why this is one of my all-time favorite shoujo series. It's just such a beautiful storyline. The art is beautiful in my opinion. I love the art. Similarly to Rurouni Kenshin, the art style does change as it goes on further into the later series. So you'll see here again, like, the art is more it's not as sharp anymore, so it's a little bit more like, maybe again, like, they're older or something, so the artists try to change the style up to show their growth. But, and again, I do like the older art, but you know, the storyline just appeals to me so much that I didn't care at the end of it. One thing that I also like is that, like, you can see that there's so many characters, and I used to be really into Yuki, who's right here. I'm sorry for the pen mark. But Yuki used to be here. He used to be like the guy that, like, the gentle type who maybe has like a little bit of a sadistic side to him, which you figure out a little bit later in the series. But now I'm really into the older men, like Shigure, who he has a dark possessive side to him, and like Hattori, oh my gosh, he's one of my favorite. I still love him so much. But it's just that, yeah, the characters grow with you, and that was one of my favorite parts also of Fruits Basket. But yeah, I would highly recommend anyone who likes a little bit of a supernatural aspect to it, but also school life and just learning how to open up and reach out for help, and you know, just, yeah, it's hard to explain. You have to read it. And I mean, if you don't want to read it, they do have the anime that recently came out that follows the storyline basically exactly as the manga. There's an older anime version that did not follow the storyline that well at all, and so this remake follows it almost to like a T. But manga to go for me. And yeah, that is Fruits Basket. So this next series I'm going to be talking about is Kitchen Princess. I think what drew me to this manga series back then was the art style. I liked the big eyes, and it had like a very shoujo look to me back then. Very cute. And I also like the like food behind it, because the main character, Najika, she cooks, and she's very good at it. Kitchen Princess is about Najika, who is an orphan. She lost her parents at a young age and went to live in an orphanage that was sort of in the countryside, and she decides to attend the school Seika Academy because when she was younger, she met a young boy who at the time she was feeling very depressed because she had lost her parents and alone, and the boy had given her a dessert, a flan, and so she calls him the Flan Prince. And when he gave it to her, he left behind a clue, which is a spoon is awarded to students at Seika Academy. So she decides to go to that school to find her Flan Prince and also to cook, which is her passion. And when she goes there, she meets two guys, which is right here, Daichi and Sora. And I'm thinking that these two, one of them has to be the Flan Prince that she's looking for, if we're following the typical trope. She meets these two and they become friends based on the first volume. I've only read the first volume so far. And then it sort of follows the usual like school life where she's getting used to it. She comes from the countryside, so she's trying to fit in, and she's also getting bullied because the class that she's in, which is a special class, where students have special abilities. The students in that class are, I would say, like those rich students, and they are very snobby, so they bully her and they don't accept her, especially this girl Akane. And I assume that the reason why Akane does that is because she's childhood friends with the two guys, and she probably likes them herself, so she has an ulterior motive. But I did really enjoy Najika's personality. So she has an optimistic personality, although she hides herself behind her optimistic personality, and she tries to cook for people to make them happy. And I really like that sort of personality, so I really did enjoy reading volume 1 again. Although this does have the usual trope of a possible love triangle, and then the mean girl who acts nice and makes the protagonist struggle because she likes the guys, I did still find myself enjoying reading this again. So I would recommend this for like the romance school life with cooking involved. And I really like it because the food that they cook and the food that Najika makes is actually like real food. So like the author provides the recipes in the back, and it's so cute. I love it. I actually am tempted to go buy the ingredients for this because a lot of them are everyday stuff that you can just get, and it'll be fun to make. But yeah, so this is Kitchen Princess. I would definitely read it again, or recommend it to myself, and if I could, I would try to collect the rest. There's 11 volumes, and this is an older manga, so I don't know if I'll be able to find it anymore, maybe as used, but I would definitely try to get my hand on this. And so this is Kitchen Princess. On to our next series, which is Wild at Heart. This is by Natsumi Ando, and she's actually the creator of Kitchen Princess, which is probably why I got this manga series, because I really like the art style. And so this is complete at 3 volumes, so I got the omnibus version. And so this is a story about Chino, who has a father who likes to explore and write stories about his adventures, and he brings home a wild boy called Hyo. And so he found Hyo when he went to a small island and decides to bring him back because Hyo saw a picture of Chino her dad dropped. He wanted like a human connection because he was raised by animals. And so this basically is a story about Chino, who suddenly has a new person in her life living with her, and crushing on him too, and Hyo, who I would say sort of imprinted on Chino a little bit. And so it kind of shows the progression of Chino developing her feelings for Hyo, and it goes through like a school life romance, what I would say is the genre for this. And rereading this again, I did find myself actually enjoying this series still. I liked Chino's personality. Like, she's strong-willed and she tries to make the decisions on her own. So she's like an independent girl. She of course is still very young. She's only 14. She's at the age where she wants to find love, and she's still searching for it. And Hyo coming into the picture sort of confuses her into whether she has fallen in love with him. So that is one of the cliched sides of the story, is that she's a girl who's just looking for love. But I actually found myself enjoying this story, and I definitely read through this pretty fast too, because it was well cliched with a lot of the stuff that happens in here. It was very sweet. And so I would recommend this like a strong-willed girl and a guy who is sweet and only focuses on the girl, the main girl. Like, he has his eyes only on her. Would I read it again or recommend it to myself again? I would actually probably read this again or recommend it to myself because it's a light-hearted read, and while there are a lot of cliched things that happens, I found myself enjoying it anyways. So that is Wild at Heart. So the next series I'm going to be talking about is Pretear. I was first introduced to this series by one of my friends who bought the series, and then I pretty sure I went to the store to go try and buy it, but the only one that they had available was volume 3, and I guess I just decided to never buy the rest of it. because I read all of it from my friend. And an anime was also released, but I was surprised by how different the anime is from the manga series. So what I found attracted to me to this manga is the art. I think the art is really pretty and the main guys are very handsome and cute in this manga. So the concept of it is sort of related to Snow White. So there is the main protagonist, Himeno. She finds out that she is the Pretear, who basically has the power to purify the darkness that the Princess of Disaster puts into the world when she tries to destroy Leaf. And Leaf is basically like nature. Anything that's good and purable nature, the Princess of Disaster tries to destroy. And so she meets these 7 knights, the Leaf Knights, or the dwarves, who each have their own elemental powers. So for example, Sasame, who you see here, has the power of sound. So what happens is that they can merge with Himeno, and Himeno will then have their abilities. So again, the story, which you'll see very common in my early middle school to high school years, has a sort of double life. So she's a Pretear who tries to purify the world of the Princess of Disaster. And then she's also just an ordinary teenage girl who finds herself in a situation where her dad ends up marrying a woman who has a lot of money. And so now she's trying to figure out how she belongs in this new world in both new worlds that she's been placed into. And another thing that I really liked about this manga was Hayate, who is the main, I would say one of the main guys. So he's right here. I really liked him because he was like this stoic guy who cared for the girl but wasn't sure how to express his feelings because he had a bad past with a girl he cared about previously, if that makes sense. And so he treats her roughly, but his actions speak more than his words. And I was really attracted to that kind of guy back then, and I am kind of attracted to that kind of guy right now too, but I do like someone who's able to communicate better now in stories. But I would recommend this. It's a student life, slight romance, and it also has a fantasy side to it, sort of like a magical girl side to it. For me now, I wouldn't pick a book like this anymore just because it's not really the kind of genre I'm into anymore. But this is Pretear. Okay, so Cherry Juice, the next manga series. And you can tell the trend. Big eyes girls, very shoujo feel to it, which is what attracted me to this manga. And also the storyline seemed interesting to me. Back then I found the step-sibling relationship very interesting. I thought that the crossing the line between this kind of relationship was intriguing, and then how they were going to accomplish something like this caught my attention a lot. So Cherry Juice is about Otome and Minami, and they are both step-siblings. So they become step-siblings when they are in elementary school. And basically, they go through their school life trying to figure out what kind of feelings they have for each other. And Otome sort of goes through this wishy-washy feelings because she has a crush on Amane, who's one of the side characters right here. And he is part of her club. But then she also has like these feelings of wanting to be with Minami, and she doesn't know if it's because she actually loves him in that kind of way, or because they're siblings, right? And she just wants to stay with him because they're siblings. So the story goes through a lot of them not communicating their thoughts with each other, confusion at their sibling relationship, other characters noticing their feelings for each other and saying that they should just get together. But at the same time, or because these two don't want to overstep that boundary, cross that boundary, because who knows what could happen then, right? And so I get why Minami and Otome had a hard time wrestling with these feelings, because in a sense they were siblings and they grew up together. And I would say that I would recommend this story for to like a school life romance where the couples are step siblings. This is no longer for me. I'm not really into couples like this anymore, although I would say that I'm open to it in the future if there's an interesting storyline to it. But this is Cherry Juice. Alright, Fall in Love Like a Comic. As you can see, I have volume 2. Not volume 1, but volume 2 for some reason. And again, shoujo style really attracted to me. And the other side that I really liked about this is the fact that the main character, Rena, is a mangaka. So she's a high schooler who is currently creating manga that is actually becoming very well known in the shoujo realm. And then the other thing that attracted me is Tomoyo, who is the main guy. And he is like the perfect boyfriend, in a sense. He basically does a lot of things for her. But at the same time, he does have a little bit of a teasing side to him that's very cute, where he likes to tease her. He's very mature for his age, I would say. But this manga is more on the physical touching side. So Fall in Love and Comic is about Rena Sakura, who is, again, like I said, a mangaka who hasn't experienced romance but makes shoujo manga. And she creates her manga with a pen name. That is until Tomoyo discovers that she's actually a mangaka. And so then this is where everything starts, where she asks him if he can pose as her boyfriend so that she can experience what love means and have more depth to her manga. I thought that this was a really cute, lighthearted read with a slight angst that gets resolved pretty fast with each incident that happens. This would definitely, I would recommend. And would I read this again? I would probably come back to this and read it just for the lightheartedness of it, because of all the cliche things that happens. I just thought that the art was so cute, and whenever something happens to Rena, she turns into this little blob, and it's so adorable. I really like that blobbiness of her, and so this was a very cute manga to read. But this is Fall in Love Like a Comic. So the last series I'm going to be talking about is Miss So Happy, and I have book 1 and 3 for some reason. So again, as you can tell, very shoujo feeling to it. So Miss So Happy is about a strong-willed protagonist by the name of Mikako. And Mikako has a sister complex. It's only her and her sister left. Her parents passed away when they were younger. She invades the male lead, Rose, home because her sister was going to have a marriage meeting with him, and then she ends up falling in love with him instead. And basically the story goes from there as they both live together and face obstacles that sort of test their relationship, because Mikako really just wants to be with him, but Ro also has his own dreams, and so they're basically working out their relationship to accommodate both things. And of course Ro really loves her too, so it's something that sort of tests them. And I think that was why I like the story. As you can see from Cherry Juice, the fact that they were both living together really interested me. When I was younger, I thought it was interesting for couples to live together and see how that works for them. And so I would recommend this for a school life romance with a little bit of the couple staying together and learning more about their relationship with each other. I did enjoy reading this. I didn't have too much of a strong feeling for the story, and I would enjoy something like this as a light read, but I would probably not pick this up now. And so this is Miss So Happy. So this is only the beginning of manga I've read in high school and also middle school-ish, because some of them did carry through from middle school to high school to even now. And many of them, as you can tell, is are shoujo. And so the next part will also continue to be more about shoujo manga and a number of more random genres that I was trying out when I was in high school. And as you can see, I definitely really liked a cute shoujo art style with the big eyes and a teenage girl just struggling to fit in. I also really liked either the really sweet gentle guy who could take care of a girl but had like this darker side to him, or the stoic guy who didn't know how to express how he felt about the girl but did it through his actions. But anyways, let me know in the comments below if you went through any phases where you were crazy about a certain genre and has it changed now. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe for more content on my manga collection.